Okay, up next, actress Taraji P. Henson recently decided to take action to help those whose mental health may be suffering at this time. Which, you guys, there's so many people suffering. Through the Boris Lawrence Henson Foundation, named after her late father, Taraji is actually offering, get this, virtual therapy to help African Americans in underserved communities who may be afraid, which, there's like a huge stigma of just being afraid to like talk about going to therapy or actually going to it, and also people who can't afford it. So guess what, if you text no stigma to 707070, you can be connected to a licensed, culturally competent clinician. Is that how you pronounce that? Clinician at no cost. Guys, here's why Taraji thinks that it's super important. Check this video out.
In the African American community, we've been taught to tough it out, hide our suffering. But this is something none of us has ever experienced. And no one should suffer in silence. We are in this together.
Well, I live for the culturally competent part. That's like everything.
Let's talk about that. So, ladies, what do you think of the campaign? Jeannie, what are your thoughts?
Well, you guys know I'm a huge, huge fan of therapy. I would not, Amanda and I switched there. I try to get secrets from Amanda's therapist just so I don't have to pay for another session over at mine. But I love talking to people about their therapy sessions. Me and Tam do this too, because I hate to say it, but it is a luxury. I could not have gotten, I would not have had therapy when I was a kid when I really needed it. And so now I'm trying to fix some of the things that have led me to where I am today. And I really hate the stigma that therapy is just for the broken or the rock bottom. It helps you to process and work out the Achilles heels or the triggers or the walls that you put up from understanding how to react. Because it's really about your reaction, right? We can't be responsible for everybody else out there. But how I react is what's going to dictate my peace of mind. So I love that she's making this available.
Like, Jeannie, you had mentioned cultural, like, what did you like about the cultural competency part?
Because my friends, I know this is crazy, but a lot of my friends where I've given out my therapist's recommendation, because they ask me for therapy, or they ask me who I go to, and then I give it to them. And the first question they ask, my friends of color, mainly Black, they say, are they a brother or sister? Because they don't know if they don't get the struggle, I don't want to have to explain that to someone because that's going to frustrate me more. And that's just real verbiage from my friends. And so I think about that, and I hate that for whatever reason that they feel that person won't relate. It just feels like it's not available to my friends. Like my friends who feel like somebody's not going to relate to their experience, they immediately want somebody who's going to relate. So I'm not sure if every single therapist that's available on Taraji's platform is going to help each person, because therapy is just like dating. You literally have to find somebody to match you and to work with you, and you can
First
understand.
of all, can we give a hand clap to Taraji for even doing this? Let's do that right now.
Brilliant.
But I
think the cultural competency element is so integral, because the Black experience, particularly in America, is a very unique and nuanced experience. And there are a number of psychological repercussions that come from this experience. PTSD, just the existence of having to be conscious of this whole other thing every day, and how it affects how people receive you, how people treat you, the limitations that you are put under, et cetera, et cetera. That also adds stresses that others may not be able to relate to. And so, to your friend's points, there is a timidness is not the word, but there is a hesitation about feeling comfortable to be able to speak those things to folks who may not have empathy or understanding, and simply relatability, and for what it's worth, like when you talk about therapists as in the same vein of like a relationship, like relationships typically work best with people who you can have a certain synergy with and a relatability to and an understanding. When you're sharing your deepest, darkest, you want to be able to do that with somebody who doesn't even have, because for what it's worth, a lot of people have racial hindrances that they don't even realize they have, simply because they just live in society, right? And so like those judgments are just brainwashed into them without them even knowing. So it's really important that Taraji put that language in there, because there is a unique experience that happens. We've talked about it, even just what's happening in relation to Black people and COVID. Black people are dying at a higher rate than anybody in regards to COVID. So even in just the level of trauma and loss that's happening right now, it is it is impacting our community on such a high level. So thank you, Taraji, so much for identifying the specific, unique need for this and the uniqueness of the therapists that need to be a part of this.
And
really
what she's doing is, I think back in the 90s, there weren't a lot of Black therapists. They were coming up. But even if you go to her website now, you see that there is a string of people of color that are therapists. And so that just tells you about the modernization now. And that's something that's needed. Because back when my mama was growing up, she was like, we ain't telling nobody our business. We ain't telling nobody, no stranger, our business. So that's always been a stigma too. It's like, no, we keep it. I'm going to call my sister and talk to my sister. Yeah, exactly.
But can I just say one more thing? Like Black folks have forever felt like going through these struggles was a part of our like culture. Like that's like a badge of honor that we have to wear, is like being able to be strong in the face of all of these traumas. And it's really just an unfair expectation for an entire, group and culture of people to be the only ones who are expected to have to just suck it up, But at the end of the day, to be honest, Lonnie, like there's still not a great, expansive network of Black therapists. And it's dope that she's putting this together so that it can continue to be utilized.
Yeah. This is amazing. Again, I just want to say that it is, all you have to do is text no stigma to 707070.